Chapter 7. The Secret to Self-Control. James Clear opens Chapter 7 by challenging a popular belief. Many people think exercising strong willpower is key to resisting temptation. But research shows that people with high self-control don't rely on sheer force of will. They simply face fewer temptations in the first place. In other words, self-control often works silently by avoiding temptation before it even begins. The misconception about willpower. Clear highlights studies revealing that extremely disciplined individuals don't constantly battle cravings. They structure their lives to minimize exposure to unhealthy temptations. For example, some of the least impulsive people don't binge on junk food, they simply don't keep it at home. Avoid temptations, don't just resist them. Just like environmental design from Chapter 6, self-control is far more effective when it's based on prevention instead of action. For instance, if you want to stop scrolling social media, remove social apps from your phone. If you want to avoid sugary snacks, don't keep them in your kitchen. This strategy dramatically reduces the need to make difficult choices because the temptation isn't even there. The root of impulses. Clear says that temptation isn't about behavior. It's about how your brain instantly reacts to specific cues. These cues trigger a craving that hijacks your decision-making. By cutting off the cue before it happens, you disrupt the impulse before it starts. Build a temptation-resistant environment. One powerful tactic is policy stacking, creating strict rules in certain areas of your life to avoid temptation. Examples: no dessert except on Sundays, no phone use at the dinner table, I only check email twice a day. These self-imposed rules help you stay in control without relying on willpower each time. Make temptations hard to reach. Clear advises making temptations inconvenient, like storing the TV remote in another room or keeping chips in a hard-to-reach cupboard. Even small obstacles make a big difference because they force you to pause and reconsider. Strengthen good habits with inversion. Clear explains that the same 4 laws that help you build good habits can be applied in reverse to weaken bad ones. 1. Obvious. To build a good habit, make its cues visible. To break a bad habit, hide or remove its cues. 2. Attractive. To build a good habit, make it appealing and enhance your desire for it. To break a bad habit, reduce its attractiveness so it's less tempting. 3. Easy. To build a good habit, remove friction so it's effortless to do. To break a bad habit, add friction so it's harder to follow through. 4. Satisfying. To build a good habit, give yourself an immediate reward. To break a bad habit, remove the sense of satisfaction that comes right after doing it. Turning knowledge into action. Understanding temptation and self-control is only useful if you turn it into practical strategies. Clear encourages readers to audit their environment and policies regularly. Ask, which temptations am I exposing myself to daily? How can I put clear boundaries in place? Key takeaways from Chapter 7. 1. True self-control is about avoiding temptations, not resisting them in the moment. 2. Design your environment and personal rules to minimize exposure to unhealthy cues. 3. Use policy stacking to set firm guidelines that support your goals. 4. Even small barriers, like removing apps or keeping junk food out of sight, can disrupt bad habits. 5. Regularly reassess your environment and policies to stay ahead of temptation. Chapter 8. How to Make a Habit Irresistible. James Clear begins Chapter 8 by introducing the idea of supernormal stimuli, ultra-appealing triggers that exaggerate our natural instincts, for example, sugar-laden snacks. This highlights a key principle in habit formation. The more attractive a behavior seems, the easier it is to do. Our brain's craving is what fuels habits, not just the reward, but the anticipation of a reward that creates motivation. The psychology of craving and desire. Clear explains that anticipation, wanting, often carries more weight in our brain than the actual pleasure, liking. Neurological studies show that the brain becomes most active when anticipating a reward, not necessarily during the reward itself. Thus, by enhancing the anticipation, you can make a habit irresistible, even before the behavior happens. Temptation bundling. One of the most actionable tactics in the chapter is temptation bundling, where you tie a habit you need to do with one you want to do. The formula looks like this. After I do a need habit, I will do a want habit. For example, after I drink my morning coffee, I'll write down one thing I'm grateful for. After I express gratitude, I'll read the news. This structure uses your desire as fuel to push the new habit forward. Why this works: anticipation fuels performance. By linking something you want with something you need, you boost your motivation through dopamine-driven anticipation. The mere expectation of a reward primes your brain to act, making habits more likely to stick. Real-world example. If you want to cook healthy meals but dislike the process, combine it with something enjoyable, like listening to your favorite podcast. Now you're motivated not just by health, but by the enjoyable activity that comes with it. This makes the habit feel less like a chore and more like a treat. Key takeaways from Chapter 8. 1. The key to habit formation is not just the reward, but the anticipation of it. 2. Make habits irresistible by enhancing cues and anticipation. 3. Temptation bundling leverages your desires to reinforce beneficial behaviors.